Yes guys, welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel. My name is FPL Nacho and I'm delighted to be back for the new season. And to kick things off, we're going to be looking at the best value midfielders ahead of the new season. So if you are new around here, make sure you do hit subscribe and like the video if you do enjoy it. And with so much content coming over this preseason period, you don't want to be missing a thing, so hit that notification bell. And while you're at it, if you haven't uploaded your squads for free, head over to the links in the bio for Fantasy Football Fix. You won't regret it. So without further ado, guys, let's get started. Okay guys, so first up, we're going to be looking at the 5.5 million bracket for midfielders. And I really think there's only two available options to us. That is going to be Wolves' Neto, that's been heavily discussed in the FPL community, versus Everton's wonder boy, Gordon, at 5.5 million. Now, you can see with the graphics on screen here, we are looking at the 21-22 season data based on per 90 minutes. Now, before we get into the depths of it, it is worth mentioning that Pedro Neto only played 459 minutes due to injury, whereas Gordon, on the other hand, was really a minutes monster last season, picking up 2,277 minutes. So we are looking at a much larger sample size with Gordon. So don't come to many conclusions with Neto just because the sample size is very small. But you can see here that Neto does dominate Gordon in every single department. Expected FPL points 4.27 compared to Gordon's 3.94. And the expected FPL points, the one that we all love, 5.74 in Neto's favour. Looking really solid in that department for the Wolves man. Now goals is really just in Neto's favour at 0.19 and expected goals in Neto's favour as well. But what I really do like to see here is the potential that Neto is offering. Now, when we are looking at the fixtures coming up for the new season, Wolves actually come out as second best on our fixture analyzer over on fantasyfootballfix.com. Leeds away and Fulham at home in the opening two fixtures look like really good attacking fixtures for Wolves. But I think the real question mark is, are they going to score enough goals? They haven't dipped into the transfer market necessarily to boost their attacking assets. So they are going to be really reliant on what they currently have in the market. I do think it is going to be a season where Neto is going to have to step up if Wolves are going to really want to stick around in the Premier League this season. Now, on the other hand, the flip side, Gordon is a bit more proven over the last 18 months. We've seen him really step up in that Everton team. With the sale of Richarlison, while that is going to hinder them from an attacking perspective, I do think that's going to put a lot more responsibility on Gordon's shoulders, which might make him a bit more of a talisman figure in that Everton team. Now, we can see with underlying stats here, they're not necessarily screaming out as amazing value. And I'm a little bit disappointed to see him shoot up to 5.5 million, considering he only scored 4 goals and 3 assists. I don't think he necessarily warrants a huge price hike. But I think the real thing that is going to hinder Gordon as an option in the opening game weeks is Everton's fixtures. Home fixtures of Chelsea in game week 1, and they're really 12th best on our fixture analyzer over the next 4 league matches. And I think based on that, if we're in the market for a 5.5 million midfielder, I think the upside is much more there for Pedro Neto rather than Gordon. So while we do have a bit of a smaller sample size with Neto, I think it might be worth the punt. We have the opportunity to identify whether he is going to be the main attacking force in that Wolves team. And with the opening fixtures that they do have, I think there is real potential for him to do well. So in this 5.5 million debate, I think Neto is going to be the man. I think the ceiling is a little bit higher for him in that one. So that's the 5.5 million midfielders, guys. We're next going to look at the 6 million midfielders. Now, in this department, we have a few more considerations. I think there's a lot more players that we could be discussing, but we've in particular got the 4 that I think are not only popular within the community, but also have real good potential for us to consider. Now, again, we've got on the same basis here of stats per 90 minutes based on last season. So we have Newcastle's Bruno Guimaraes, who had a brilliant second half to the season, obviously joining in the January transfer window. Buendia Aston Villa, who had a bit of a stop-start season, wasn't necessarily getting the minutes that he thought he should get. With Coutinho coming in the door as well in January, that really did hinder him as an FPL option. Arsenal's Martinelli, again, somebody who got affected by minutes but actually delivered when he was on the field. And West Ham's Ben Rama started off like a steam train at the start of the season, but started to peter off as the season progressed, being a bit more of a bit part player and less influential in their attacks. Now, you can see with the green graphics there that Bruno Guimaraes is really doing well in the attacking departments. 0.44 goals per 90, 5.84 FPL points per 90 and 0.96 bonus points per 90. Now again, we are looking at a bit of a smaller sample size here for Bruno just because he did join after the January transfer window, but these underlying stats are absolutely exceptional. Even the expected goals, 0.27, is amazing for somebody who's just a centre mid. We're comparing him alongside centre attacking mids in Buendia and Benrahma, and also basically a left winger in Martinelli. So these are great underlying stats. And I do think if we do see him continue to be that box-to-box midfielder, then this is a guy that we really do need to keep on our watch list. Now, Buendia and Benrahma, you can see that underlying stats aren't necessarily up there with the other two for certain areas. And I think because of the minutes risk, in particular Buendia with Coutinho at the club, I think we could rule him out as a 6 million option right now. He can definitely be a wait and see. If he's going to be a breakout player under Gerrard, then we could look to move to him. But right now, I don't think the money is worthwhile for Buendia. And I think the same is going to go to Benrahma as well. I do think his minutes will be better than Buendia's, but Benrahma right now just hasn't necessarily illustrated that he's going to be consistent throughout the course of the season. I think one thing is worth noting as well is West Ham's fixtures are a little bit indifferent, in particular that Man City fixture in game week 1. And I think with the way that West Ham are structuring right now with a bit more emphasis on Bowen, I think that probably is not worth us dipping our toes in Benrahma. So really the 6 million department is Bruno versus Martinelli. Now, game week 1 against Forest is a brilliant fixture for Bruno, but after that the fixtures do start to turn for Newcastle. Now in Arsenal's case, they are actually top of our fixture analyzer for the opening 4 game weeks and have some brilliant fixtures against promoted sides. Now Martinelli, I think, is going to be a bit of an interesting asset for us. I think if you want the minutes guarantee, Bruno Guimaraes is the man for you. Martinelli is definitely the higher ceiling and I believe the higher risk asset. But if he does retain his position on the left of that front three, then I think he's going to be an absolute gem at 6 million. And I think pre-season is going to be really essential to see whether he is in, Arteta's starting 11. So right now, if I had to put my money where my mouth is, I think Martinelli would just win it for me. But if you are a manager that is focused on getting minutes on the field, then I think Bruno Guimaraes could continue to be a brilliant FPL option for us FPL managers. So that's the 6 million midfielders covered, guys. Just to wrap up a minute, we've got Neto at 5.5 million as my top pick and Martinelli as my 6 million pick. Now we're going to have a quick look at the 7 million midfielders available to us in the game. So again, guys, with the 7 million midfielders, similar to the 6 millions, we have plenty of options to consider. And I'm really excited about the 7 million department. I think there's some really good options here. And those that might not have had very good seasons last season, but could emerge as phenomenal value. Now, first up, Zaha, probably someone who is Mr. Consistent in regards to medium returns over each season. We know what we're getting with him at Crystal Palace, whereas the likes of Coutinho, Barnes and Grealish still remain to be a little bit of an anomaly whether they can be consistent over the course. Zaha on penalties, most likely most of the time at Crystal Palace, and importantly, guaranteed game time means that when we're looking at his goals and expected goals, it's really great to see this because his data size is a lot larger than a lot of these players because his minutes are so consistent in that Crystal Palace team. So 0.46 goals per 90 and 0.32 expected goals per 90 is brilliant to see for someone like Wilfried Zaha. Now, the reason why I'm going to rule him out as a 7 million option ahead of game week 1 is because Crystal Palace are bottom for our fixture analyzer over the opening 4 fixtures, with the likes of Coutinho, Barnes and Grealish having much better fixtures, although Zaha's minutes are looking really solid in a Crystal Palace shirt. I don't think it's worthwhile putting 7 million investment into a player that has the worst opening fixtures over the 4 game weeks. So he is going to be someone to put on the watch list for later down the line when them Crystal Palace fixtures turn. Now, Coutinho, similar to the likes of Benrahma and also Buendia, I think the minutes is something that I'm slightly worried about. Again, with Coutinho, when he hit the ground running at Aston Villa, I think he was an asset that we all wanted to bring in. But we did see him start to dip off, and he was really starting to do well against those bottom half sides, not necessarily stepping up in each and every game. Now you can see there the bonus points is the department that he is winning, 0.47 per 90. But I like what I'm seeing with the goals, 0.34 goals per 90, 0.23 expected goals per 90. These are solid underlying stats for effectively a centre attacking midfielder in Aston Villa. And a side that I think is going to grow under Gerrard, in particular this season, with a few new signings that they've brought in to bolster the squad. So Coutinho, I think, is definitely a consideration for us in game week 1. But the two that I'm really excited by this season is going to be Man City's Jack Grealish and Harvey Barnes at Leicester. So first up, Jack Grealish. We all know that minutes is the massive problem with Man City assets. He, in particular, is somebody that we don't know whether he's going to be starting 1 week or the next. The sale of Gabriel Jesus and Sterling means that there's less competition for those places in the wing areas. But we know Haaland down the middle means that we got Mahrez, Foden and Grealish vying for these two sides either side of him. But what we can see with these underlying stats are decent for him. Expected goals 0.27 per 90, 0.23 expected assists per 90 for Jack Grealish. So when I'm looking at these underlying stats for somebody like him, I'm not necessarily seeing goal contributions from a goal scoring perspective, but I'm seeing chance creation from him. And at 7 million, if he can start to build upon the chance creation with a few goal involvements, then I really think he is going to be, alongside Martinelli, one of the gems of the season at 7 million. But it's all about that guaranteed game time for him. Barnes, on the other hand, at 7 million, experienced a similar sort of season, dipping in and out of the side. But when he did actually get game time in that Leicester team, he was phenomenal value last season. I think he could continue that trend at 7 million. 0.51 assists per 90 is excellent to see. And importantly, 5.86 FPL points per 90. So he really was delivering when he was on the field. And the fixtures is something that I really do like as well. Brentford at home in game week 1 and Southampton at home in game week 3. Tricky fixtures either side of that game week 3 fixture, but with Leicester having no focus on European football and completely committed to the Premier League, I really do think that Harvey Barnes could have one of those seasons where he really emerges as a brilliant FPL option. And I really would like to see Leicester kind of become a bit more concrete in their starting 11, not dipping in and out of front twos and different formations. We're seeing Harvey Barnes operating on that left of a front three. And if in pre-season we do see that and those consistent minutes start to come for Harvey Barnes, I think at 7 million, that is the man that I would be happily investing my money in. Similar to Grealish if he does get their minutes in Man City. But for me, if I had to put my money where my mouth is, Barnes will be the man for me at 7 million. But again, guys, please do let me know in the comments, who is your top pick for this 7 million bracket? So that's going to wrap up today's best value midfielders video. I really hope that you guys have found some value in this, and it's great to be back bringing content for the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel. So again, as I mentioned, if you have enjoyed it, please do drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you are new, and that notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily content that will be coming over the preseason period. All links are in the bio, guys. Make sure you do check out fantasyfootballfix.com, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Cheers.